Hello everyone, welcome to Scorched Earth Toys at anymoon.com's classic toy review of the Takatoku Henkei SDF 1. This toy was obviously released back in the 80s. It came in a fairly Spartan box with a plastic instead of styrofoam tray. Inside the box there was a very small sticker sheet that'll let you dress up the toy a little bit more than you see here. There were also numerous different variants of this toy, probably after Takatoku's demise. It appeared in the converter lines and elsewhere as knockoffs in numerous different colors. What you're seeing in this review is the genuine Takatoku product. Look, the Daedalus maneuver. That's about as much articulation as you should really expect from this toy. You can see there's a metal rod that runs through the legs. That's the only metal really to speak of. It does allow you to bring the legs forward and back fairly dynamically, but since there's no real ankles, you end up with kind of extreme poses or, lots of falling down. So things to be aware of. You can, since the guns are on pegs, make it look like it's firing the guns. So that's kind of cool. More than you could say for Takatoku's block system SDF-1, which had those guns locked in place. You do have the articulated rail guns on the shoulders as well, which is needed for transformation, so not surprising there. Likewise, the aircraft carriers can rotate, and the arms can come out and obviously rotate at the shoulder. So no elbows really to speak of, but you do have some arm mobility, some leg mobility, and the ability to pivot the guns. So for what this is and when it was, really not bad at all things considered. All right, let's do an extreme close-up here to kind of talk about the detail a little bit more, which really isn't too bad given the size of the toy. You can see the stickers make it pop in quite a few different areas. There's some lines in there, but there's also some big bulges in this metal rod in the legs, obviously some gaps. You've turned the toy around, some screw holes, and some big empty cavities there, as well as a peg that goes into that hole there. So some weaknesses, but given its size, let's check out the head for a moment here. Again, not too bad as far as detail goes. So overall, not terrible handling toy. It's got some decent articulation. It doesn't look too bad. So you could see why it was coveted even as a knockoff toy. At 14 centimeters tall, the Henkei is quite a bit smaller than many other Takatoku SDF-1 toys. This is the non-transformable 1/6300 scale Takatoku SDF-1, which is a little less than 20 centimeters tall. Here's the 1/5700 block system toy. It's 23 centimeters tall, so quite a bit taller. If you need a more current point of reference, here again is our 14 centimeters tall SDF-1, and here is a high metal RVF-1 toy that maybe more people here would own. So obviously a handful and not much more. All right, let's go through transformation, and I mistransformed this toy for years, so hopefully somebody will get some value out of this. You begin transformation by taking off these booms on the top. And then you're going to want to rotate the center section around and just drop the bridge back like so. For the arms, you want to spin them around and then bring the guns forward. And then you're going to want to position the flat area towards the top, obviously. So flip shoulder around, bring arm back, rotate guns forward. So far, so good. The next step for me is the most difficult just for how tight my toy is. We want to move the legs forward so they actually slide forward here and here with pressure, and it is incredibly tight on my toy. Not very easy to do, but you got to push up. And the other problem is it gets out of whack, right? So one leg will start moving up more than the others. Or the other, I should say. There it goes. So one up. Alright, so there you are. Now the legs are totally collapsed and right up against what was the chest there, so that's good. So the last thing we need to do is install the guns again. Now remember, the indented area is going to go towards the bottom. So we can rotate this around. We have the indented area. Now it kind of makes it look like you should just push them together and shove them on. If you do that, this little peg here will stop them from going all the way on the toy. So if you just went like this, they stop right there and leave you a little bit of a gap. That said, it's pretty simple and easy to do that, so you don't really need to do this next step. But it works out a little bit better if you take them apart, fish it in, and get that little peg inside that blue area. Let's see if we can do this. There it goes. So now that is in there incredibly securely. Do the same thing on the other side, which again involves a little threading here. And you got a peg at the top you need to watch out for. But you should, oh, popped one in, popped the other one out there. You should be able to get them both in and then peg it together. And now it is incredibly secure, and you can't remove that even if you want to. You're going to have to pop it apart. And there you go. Now you are in SDF1 cruiser mode. So here is cruiser mode, and the toy functions fairly well. I've got it on a display stand. I imagine not many people put this toy on a display stand. But one of the reasons you would need to is because when you lift the toy up, the legs will immediately droop on you, as will the bridge. So there's definitely the big weakness in cruiser mode, which is obviously unfortunate. There's lots of line art deficiencies that you will notice as you hold the toy. The bridge obviously does not split apart. The front of the toy, the biggest bummer for me is that these pieces here aren't separate pieces that you can rotate to make them flat, because that really does detract away from the overall look of the SDF1. But there you can see there's some detail on there. Obviously nothing articulated, no little guns or anything. It just is what it is. And you can whoosh it around. It holds together, nothing, no parts falling off, anything like that. So as far as, you know, you could just put your finger behind the legs and whoosh it around and you're totally fine. So that's what you get in cruiser mode. Obviously not the most stable, but you know, for how big it is and how simple it is, it could be much worse. Scale-wise, this is obviously a small toy. It's about 15 centimeters tall. Here is a Bandai High Metal R VF1 toy, so you can see it's a little bit smaller than the High Metal R toys, and certainly in comparison to other SDF1 toys, 15 centimeters. The block system 15700 was about 21.5 centimeters, and the Mega House SDF1 is a little more than 20 centimeters. So it's small, it was cheap. It has a fairly satisfying transformation, although you do have to remove parts and put them back together again. And to me, it has a ton of charm, because compared to other 80s SDF1 toys like the block system or Takatoku's non-transformable efforts, there was a lot more fun factor here. So I dig it. I could totally understand why it was popular as a converter's toy, but it's definitely not for everyone. Now you know exactly what it is. You can determine if you want to hunt one down on your own. Thanks for watching. Check out anymoon.com for my full article.